Welcome to Built to Last. I'm Kate Adamo.
And I'm Adrian Adamo. This is a podcast to challenge the way you think, to change the way you live. Health, home, relationships, and business, it's all on the table. Let's build it to last.
Hello and welcome to episode 11. In our last episode, Adrian did a solo episode around
Performance culture.
Yep, and that one's been going really well.
Yeah, it's had a really good response, particularly to the performance culture playbook. A topic very passionate about, and certainly want to empower individuals that, do lead people and teams to, other ways of getting the best out of people. Yeah,
awesome. And today for episode 11, this is actually take 2, and we're doing this lunchtime on a Sunday. We tried on Friday before we had to take off to Brisbane, and the universe
we didn't listen.
Tried many signs to make us not, but we were trying to keep in line with our wonderful producers.
So just a debrief. Our tripods, both of them snapped.
Yeah,
so
we couldn't hold
connect
our phone.
our phones.
One's fixed and one's currently held with a rubber band.
But that's okay. This is home studio life.
And someone didn't press record on the mic. So
and then we recorded the whole episode, and it wasn't until Kate was in her closing statement that I've gone to check
how long the app was
and
for.
And the audio was turned off.
It's working in the numbers accounting today because I'm not doing this for a third time.
So this is take 2.
Take 2. There's lots of brilliance that we shared. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to remember it, but hey.
We'll just get the good bits.
Always trust whatever's meant to be shared will be shared.
We switched seats just for a bit of a change of...
if you're watching on YouTube, it fits our outfits better today, the colour of the chairs. So do you want to dive in?
Yeah, well, what are we starting with? Well, I mean, I know that the summary of it really is self-trust, but I know that you have a deeper definition.
Yes, self-trust, but I think when I was speaking to Adrian about this episode, I wanted to talk about so many of the things that I've seen in my life and I'm seeing play out in so many of my clients' lives, and it's the way that we feel about ourselves is reflected in the way we show up in our businesses, our lives, the way we treat ourselves, our health, what we accept, and all of it. I see it daily.
It's so true. I mean, it reminds me when we did start talking about this, it immediately reminded me of a performance coach that I got onto. I reckon it would have been 2019. His name's Lanny Basham. He's got this phrase which sums it up perfectly, that you can't outperform a poor self-image. And I see that in myself. I mean, it's something that I'm personally going through right now in my business, and I can dive a little deeper into that. But what are you seeing? What makes this the juice for today?
I think because, as I said, I can see when the way women feel about themselves is how they show up in their business. And the more work I've done on myself, the more deeper work and shedding and self-development and all of the deep layers of work that I've been doing for years, and really deeply over the last few years and even more so the last few months, I've seen things in myself, and then I can see that in other women. So it's the way that they show up in, whether I give them and support them with a great process or cash flow or how to invoice on what to do. And it's some of the women that'll just implement those things because they go, right, I see myself as that version of a woman who is running a great business. I want the time for myself. I want the time for my family. I want to put good meals on the table. I want to still be able to make it to PT 2 mornings a week. So who do I have to become to do that? And I'm going to do those things to make that happen. So the women that have a vision and that they really deeply want to implement those things and have more self-love and trust, will implement them and have a better outcome.
But that's not what
some aren't.
Yeah, but that's not what they're going to come to you with, right?
No.
Not necessarily. So there's, I always feel that the first, and I see it in my one-on-one coaching and workshops, the outcome that they really want typically is the symptom.
Yeah.
And it's not the real root cause of what's going on that's sabotaging or holding them back. So for argument's sake, with the women that come to you, what are they typically saying, this is my problem? And then what are you uncovering?
A lot of them,
they want more sales, they want more money.
Sales and money. But a lot of them are just, I think it's an overwhelm, and there's an information overload at the moment. I shared about this in my newsletter the other day with AI, and there's so much information out there, but then there becomes a paralysis of the information, and what do I do? So I think there's a lot of that. There's a paralysis. They've tried a lot of things. They've done the free trials. They aren't really sure what's going to work and how it needs to work and how it's going to come together. So what I like to do is just really sift through where you are, where you want to go, where are the gaps, what are the simplest, easiest systems to help you get to that point, or cash flow or offering or whatever it might be, because I think that there's a lot of chaos and overwhelm, and women are quite stretched in running their business, running the household, running the family. So I like to provide that level of let's simplify everything, let's strip it back, let's get rid of the noise, let's make things better at home with your health, the way you feel about yourself, those foundational things in business, the things that I've done in our life and business, and like that's something I'm very passionate about.
So where's the lack of self-love? Like, why wouldn't they just naturally want to do this?
I think it's just been ingrained in us, a lot of us from women, and a lot of it's conditioning. It's a lot of stories from childhood, from maybe it's parents, siblings, partners, bosses, people around them, friends. And it's just, we have, I think, been conditioned as women. Things have just been stripped from us. It's like, we're not enough. It's like, you've got issues with your cycle, just go get on the pill. There's no go back to understanding your body and how it works and its natural rhythm. We've just been
so now you're band-aided,
band-aided different things, and it's just look for the answers outside of you all the time, whereas that was something I just stopped doing a long time ago. Yes, I will still get support, but to guide me back to me, to make decisions that make sense for me in my season of life. Doesn't matter if they don't to other people, and that's what I'm trying to guide women back to. Who are you? What do you love? How do you want to run your life and business? What matters the most? And let's get to that point. And that's a big one. It's a really hard one to not worry about what other people think and perception. And that's one of the hardest ones to break through.
Because you will definitely come up against your own resentment, and then you'll come, like 9 times out of 10, it'll be at odds with what most people around you will be thinking or feeling. So, but I always find that frustration, resentment, they become like your indicators that something's not right in here, that and this is where that lack of clarity or self-trust comes from, is because you really know what you should be doing, but most
people know, but it's an implementation gap. But it's like, sometimes it feels like, well, I've tried enough things and it hasn't worked, so why would I do this? Or they just prioritize other things or look for their value or self-worth in other things, in the overgiving and getting the love there, rather than knowing how to give that to themselves and then not need to overgive and burn themselves out to receive love.
You've done that before?
Yeah, for other people's businesses.
Yeah.
Not so much for my own. I think in the early days when I was learning.
But even not so much in business, but certainly when you were going through your employee.
Nearly killed myself for other people's businesses. I was very unwell at that period, really unwell. And I think then you don't know who you are. You're an employee. You fall into the identity of that business because some of them are so polarizing with their identities and who we are and who we aren't. And I think sometimes you can very easily get swept up into that and take that into your business with you, or into further careers or motherhood or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I mean, that almost ties into how powerful your environment is, because that can sometimes play for you. You can step up in company
and thrive
and really be expanded into your edges where it's a really positive input.
Yeah, or you can be completely broken.
Yeah.
And wings clipped.
Yeah. We've experienced both, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we get back?
It's the vision. I think it's the identity shift first. It's like we need to see what we want, and we need to see who we need to become to do that. And then what are some of the smaller pieces? Like for me, I do so much kinesiology and like recently like higher self work and working with my cycle and getting a lot clearer on what matters and putting boundaries up, and put some more up recently. And I'm just not prepared to drain energy or put myself into situations that don't feel good anymore. And I think there's many layers to it, and it takes time. There's no Band-Aid fix. It's not an overnight. You can't do it in 4 weeks. But I think it takes time, and it takes, okay, well, I did that and the world didn't fall apart, so I can keep doing that.
It's building confidence along the way. Yeah. I mean, you touched on something really powerful, but it got overlooked. I don't want it to get overlooked. It's you seeing yourself, right? So you can't outperform a poor self-image, which means therefore, like, how we see ourselves is important. So it's almost, that's where we've got to start. So that really ties into the identity piece. And I like the easiest way to guide people to that is, like, a smoker sees themselves as a smoker and therefore will behave as a smoker. Likewise, an Olympian sees themselves as an Olympian, and so they will do all the actions and behaviors that align with the way they see themselves. So if someone doesn't see themselves as someone who takes care of themselves, or that they prioritize everyone else's needs, over their own, they don't know how to create boundaries. When they do, they've either been, shunned or diminished or dismissed, and now they've really solidified that belief that they're not someone who speaks up or stands up or holds boundaries. So then the first place to start it, and I really hate that whole fake it till you make it, but you need to see it. And so like something that you do alone, something that I really do a lot alone, but then we've done it together and certainly with our retreats and things like that is the visualization piece.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
I went through that recently with a client. So I've got a beautiful client that is trying to leave a horrible marriage, and it's a really hard one. It's very complex and there's a lot of layers, and she had been seeing I think some sort of a psychologist to do that, and it hadn't been supportive, and we had a really big chat about it, and I said, what's your best case scenario 12 months time? If you're out of this situation, what does your life look like? Where are you living? What are you doing? All of the things we talked about it all. And she couldn't really see it. She couldn't really feel it, because I think sometimes, and I know, and I've been there, you get so far in the trenches that you really don't know how to dig your way out, and you don't know how to find that. And so we were talking about a lot of different things, and we went for a quick, Lou and make a cup of tea break halfway through the call. And I just had this instant download in that moment. I said, you need to do the higher self visualization with her. And I just trusted that. And we did that beautiful experience and visualization, a lot of questions after that. And there was this beautiful, reflection that she could see. And there was a little bit of hope and a light at the end of the tunnel of what needed to happen and where this could go. But she couldn't even see that. And that visualization gave her the strength and the hope to now be able to make this possible. And those sort of experiences, like I'll never...
Priceless.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And they say, like in sales, hope isn't a strategy, but the difference between sadness and depression is hope. Yeah. And so like it is one of the most potent things that a human being needs to have, particularly to ignite imagination, possibility. More so when you're in the trenches, but even like when you're flying high, like I'm going through this right now. I've gotten rid of the contracts work. Now everything that you see is my coaching.
Yeah, and that was such a small part. It had been down to like 10%
but it was more the safety blanket, right? Yeah. And now it's that whole, well, I shouldn't say hope, but it's necessary from a beam of light of what's possible and how do I get out, and then how do I get to where I want to get to.
Yeah, but you're not the only one. Like it's very timely that we're talking about this now, because and you don't have to be spiritual to know that there is, the world feels a little bit different at the moment. Yeah. There is a massive, and, for those who are into this, there is kind of this new earth being birthed at the moment. We're shifting into a whole new paradigm, a whole new way of working. And for those of you that are familiar with human design, that's something that the creator of human design talked about, and the way that we are shifting into this new paradigm next year, and the way that we have worked, our identities, old structures. This is why so many women I'm talking to at the moment, I'm seeing posts and receiving newsletters about it of just, nothing feels right. I've worked so hard and I've got to this point and it's fallen apart. They've lost big parts of their business, things that they've been pushing and doing and trying to do that have worked forever have just stopped working, because we're being asked to do something differently. We're being asked to birth things differently. There's a whole new identity. And so there's a lot of people going through a bit of an identity crisis at the moment of, who am I? What do I want to do?
Let's just change that word.
What's next?
It's not a crisis. Like they even say this about...
It's not a crisis, but...
About men, midlife crisis. Like, isn't it an opportunity? Like, if it's a crisis, I'm big on language, right? Language crisis means things is fucking out of control.
Yeah.
But, like a midlife opportunity, a midlife reset, like who you are in your 20s and 30s is completely different to who you are in your 40s. So rather than saying it's a crisis, it's an opportunity. Like restructure, how do I want to do it? So certainly, we may be on this, new earth paradigm. So, and there's a lot of tear down what we've done, head in the hand. I can't believe, this is happening, but see it as an opportunity to, like, success leaves clues. What do I want to do that, take from my past?
Yeah.
And then what are the parts that didn't work that really don't feel good? And so again, use resentment, frustration, fear, anger as your like little arrows for they're the parts of your work, your life, your relationships, your health that need to be the things that you redefine.
Yeah. Curating a life and a business or a career now that maybe wasn't possible or like in the past, or might not even make sense to you right now. And there's some things that I'm just percolating at the moment in my business, and things that are coming through a lot clearer over these last few days, that I've taken some space recently. That's
FYI, she hasn't even shared this with me.
Yeah, no, or my
yet.
team, and I normally do. I come up with it like 4 days ago, but I'm holding it close to just let it land. I don't believe in putting the energy out until I don't want to receive anyone else's energy in it until I'm fully clear in it. But there's the ways that we've always done things aren't going to apply. And if there's something that's on your heart that feels like it's a little bit out there, or how would that be received? Like, now is the time to be curious and to create those things in our business and our lives. Curiosity is, I think, going to be a really important part of this next transition.
Well, I mean, I think curiosity, to be honest, is the underlying word for growth. If you don't remain curious, then ultimately you
with everything, life and relationships,
means that
business.
you're going to be fixed. So it's funny because in take one of this episode, when that whole you're going to keep this close to you and not even share it with me, because you're saying, I'm not sure if people caught that, but you don't want to give away your energy to what you're building. And I sort of came at you with a different perspective, and I completely respect what you're doing in terms of this is a new idea. You really want to get it set and formulated in yourself before you go out and share it. The opposite for me is sometimes when I put things out there early almost as a declaration, that can be a really powerful fuel, particularly if we're talking about self-trust. I'm going to do something and I'm not sure if I have the courage or confidence to do it, namely because I've never done it before. But if I then go out on social media or go out to my group of friends or to my family and say, hey guys, I'm going to do X. Yes, you're saying that there's an aspect where because you ran the idea that if you proclaim it, then to some degree, from a psychological level, we almost tick it off like we've done.
That's what I was saying, in the episode the other day that hasn't aired, that basically that sometimes we can put things out there and it can be like, oh, that's great, Kate, that's amazing, that's a great idea, you should bring it to life. And there is an element of like, we've already received the praise that we wanted to, and our body's already had the dopamine hit, that are we actually going to follow through with it because we've received that. The other thing is, and I've read a lot about this, is when we do put things out there to other people, we invite in, whether we know it or not, their energy, their judgment, their sometimes their positivity amongst it. And there's a lot of people who don't want the best for you.
Yeah.
And you'll also sometimes receive thoughts and feelings from people who aren't aligned or in the same place in life with you. And that could strip down one of the greatest ideas and things that you're going to create. So I just don't have any interest in doing that at the moment. I'll probably share it with you sometime, maybe today, maybe next week, who knows.
I've got to be a good boy.
But I don't know. I think that there's a big part of that. And I think sometimes we tell everyone everything and it's
that's like almost
I'm not open to receive feedback. I just want to create something that I know.
That evil eye. Like the Italians call it the malocchio.
I've got one on the front door for that reason. But I don't know. I just think as women, and it's a more feminine way, it's like women take 9 months to curate and birth things. And I think it's like, this is something that I want to hold close because I feel like it is going to have such a beautiful impact in this world. And that is what I'm here to do, and why I've done the work on myself and continue to do that and want to support women in different ways is like, I know that there's something bigger there, and I feel like this might be the cusp of it. So, and
I cannot wait to see what comes of this. But to give the opposite approach to that, there is that aspect of social declaration where, I say I'm going to run an ultra marathon in May, and now all of a sudden I've put that out there. There is that aspect of now I'm going to do the work and I need to become the person, aka the identity of someone who does those things, right? So let that be your first test of self-trust. Like, is this something that I need to keep to myself because this is for me, and when I'm ready, I will share it with the world? Or is this something that I need to put it out there, announce it, have that date in the calendar, and now become the person who makes that happen? And let your gut be the deciding factor for that. You'll either feel this, should I share it? And you'll either feel that like, fuck yes.
Attraction
or you'll feel like, nah, this one's for me.
Yeah, that's how I feel. And there was a question I was going to ask you around identity. Like, while we're talking about that, do you feel like you currently see yourself in the identity of who you want to become?
Oh, you are touching. I was going to bring this up on my own accord anyway, so I'm happy to be vulnerable. So, what's the question? Do I see myself as this? In the last 2 weeks, I have also been, like a lot of the conversations that I've had with others have been that real mirror conversation of, dude, this is what you need to be listening to yourself. So in answer to your question, no is the short answer. I see it, and I have seen it before. So like, I mean, am I allowed to say, like, yeah, I want to do TED Talks, right? Like I really want to get out there on the global speaking stage and scale. Do I see it? Oh man, I've visualized it, meditated, and I feel, and like heavily, say since 2019, more so 2020 onwards. In the last, I would say probably 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even longer than that, to be honest, my self-doubt, self-sabotage has been triggered heavily to the point where I'm now going back to, you know, the principles that I share about journaling, getting rid of the like I've written down all the things that I believe about myself. I've written down and then question them, like, because not just the good ones, not just the, you know, you're a handsome Italian boy. I write that one. No, but you know, not just that like the ones that, you know, are you worthy to jump on stage? Who do people really want to hear what you have to say? And like some of those, it's like, well, question it. And I get a lot of my clients to, you know, create that list and sometimes burn the ones that don't fucking, you know, that aren't real or right. So in answer to your question, I am definitely rebuilding and creating that version of myself that sees himself as worthy of those stage. And, you know, like it's funny because I feel like the topic for the TED Talk is going to be self-belief to be, you know, I've got a couple of ideas that I want to put together on that.
And I think one of the hardest business models we've definitely chosen is a personal brand where you're constantly evolving. And, you know, for you were the car guy. And for me, I started, you know, doing this and supporting property stylists. And it's not that we're not still supporting those people. We still are. But we have evolved beyond just that niche and continued to evolve ourselves in the way that we want to support people. And as we keep evolving, it's bringing people on that journey with us and trying to articulate that in a way that makes sense. And some of the audience will drop off and new ones will find you. And it is like they say starting a business is like, you know, peeling the layers of the onion of yourself and who you become and who you need to become and who you need to shed to become that. It's definitely one of the most, I guess, vulnerable and challenging, but most
rewarding.
incredible, business models that you could undertake because, you know, the growth is real.
And the edges are real.
The edges are real. Yeah, and I think we're both facing some new ones at the moment in becoming that next level of, we've done so much of the groundwork.
I mean, you talk about self-trust, like your audience knew you for everything that you were and that you've shared with them. And at some point you're like, okay, well, I've not been there, done that, but like you evolve and some of them will come and some of them won't. You know, for me, you know, some of the topics that I talk about, almost they do fly directly against the grain of particularly the auto industry, which was one of the reasons that, you know, I proved that there is another way to run a successful business that doesn't just reward, you know, burnout, no lunch breaks, no annual leave, you know, only praise outcome, don't praise process. Like there's so many things that were just the old school way that I evolved to prove in that world, but it's also people, and now it's sort of spanning the wings beyond that, and you'll take some people along for the ride and some won't, and I guess that's the part that, you know, where you've just got to trust yourself. Well, do I truly believe what I'm saying and that it has value, and then take the steps. You know, like I wrote in my notes, you know, how do you get someone to build self-trust when they don't have it? And this goes back to confidence, right? So how do you build confidence if you haven't done it? Well, you've just got to give yourself the smallest of tasks in the direction that you want to go, like whatever that is, because confidence is built from evidence, not from thinking. So yes, the first part is what we said, is that visualization. Like, you've got to really re-engage your imagination. And sometimes you can do it on your own. Sometimes you need to be guided by someone else to see what is possible for you more than you may see for yourself. Then after that it goes, okay, well, that sounds great, but that sounds a little bit fucking wishy-washy because that is not me. Okay, well, what is the smallest thing, not the biggest step, that I can do today, not tomorrow, and then do it. And then
trust,
it's compound interest. Like your uncle is a financial planner, and he said something the other month that just really hit the spot. He said compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. And I truly believe that in all aspects. He was obviously talking about money and investments, but in habits, in your own personal growth, in your relationships, as a parent, in your business. Give me an example where that rule doesn't apply. And it's evidence, right? Like, I don't have it right now. What's the smallest step I can do in that direction? To run an ultra, you need to start by fucking buying some runners and go for a walk jog. To, start a business, maybe it's, just get the pencil out and start, mapping out, the vision.
That's how I always do it. I think it's a better way. I've got big sketchbooks, and this week I've had my journal and just pencil and just writing it. It's like a different brain connection than typing it. And that's where so many ideas have flowed while sitting in the sun, especially on Thursday morning. It just poured out, I think, because you give it the opportunity to.
I've said it many times, right? Like the way, like, by writing things down is to get things from our head to our heart is through our hand. And when we write it down, we see it in our mind, we see it on the paper, and then we get to re-enter it back. Really powerful practice.
And I think sometimes we think these things have to be forced, whether it's business or life. And I think taking the time and finding moments in creative space, creating space in my life to do those things is where the biggest breakthroughs in business have come. Not from trying to force it. It's from really pulling back and not doing much for a week or two, or having massages or sitting in the sun. And that's a very feminine way to do that. But we think that it's got to be forced into existence, or how are other people doing it? I need to look at exact business models, and it doesn't work that way. I've found so much more peace in doing it the other way, and the biggest ideas landing. So,
and I think that would be ideal gold standard. Have the week off, take yourself out. It
wasn't fully off, but
No, but you know what I'm saying. But then there's other applications for that, because I think back to when I was, I'd train, I'd go to work. Well, first of all, I'd train, Melbourne traffic, work. Sure, it was 8.5 hours. I think I was working 11 to 12 hours. Do the same hour drive home, come back, and then you're in the social life or home life. And for those who've got kids, that,
it's hard.
That opens up. So sometimes that can just, it's just even 5 minutes. For me, one of the most powerful practices that I had was the first 5 to 10 minutes of my drive home. And now, even when the business, when I close my laptop, the first 5 to 10 minutes is a reflection. What did I do well today? Not where did I fuck up and fall short. What did I do well? Because I want to start building that self-trust that I did things that I said I was going to do. What needs work? That's an opportunity to go, okay, well, maybe it wasn't perfect, but it's all about progress. And you're also creating that space, right, for creativity and for new ideas. And then the third is, what am I going to do about it? How can I evolve for tomorrow? Sometimes for me that looked like pulling over, because I know that when I'd pull up in the driveway, you'd know that I'm home, and then all of a sudden I'd feel that, okay, well, on to the next. Sometimes I would pull up in the street before pulling into the driveway and just have that 5 minutes and breathe. Who was I at work, and who do I need to be at home? How do I want to see myself, and really bring that into...
It's just changing and switching the days. I talk to some of my clients about that before they go to school pickup or whatever it is. Sometimes it's get changed, or is it a little beautiful spritz? I've got mine here beside me, which, what is it? My heart activation mist. Is it that you spritz that on, or is it a song or something that you play, or how do I sort of have a moment
Change
to switch between identities, rather than right, slam the laptop, get in the car, traffic, kids, just the frustration. It's how can you just 1 minute, 1 or 2 minutes, just to reset that identity. Who have I got to be in this next?
Because we're talking about self-trust, right? And sometimes the thing that knocks that out of kilter is, well, I said that I was going to be a good partner, and then I've come inside, my bandwidth was absolutely tapped. I wanted to be pleasant, and then the first thing that comes in just triggers me to snap. And then all of a sudden, I've now gone against my better self, and then that spiral downwards occurs as opposed to spiraling up. And I feel like that's something else we need to talk about right now. The pressure, right? There is no shortage of pressure out there, but not necessarily everyone has the tools or capacity to hold that.
I look back to the life that I had before we had the awareness for all the tools or the kinesiology or the support or the emotional releases or breath work or retreats. Like, I just can't imagine how people are getting by that don't do any of those things. And the anxiety, depression, cortisol, stress, like what their bodies are physically holding and how that might play out in the future. Like, I'm very grateful that we have the tools, the curiosity, the people around us, and the awareness to do those things. And I think that it might feel, I don't know, I think sometimes it's people haven't had the awareness. I'm glad if somehow we found that curiosity. I was
just trying to think, like, what was it? I mean, I feel like there's a number of reasons, that would have come into play. I mean, you moving from Queensland to Melbourne was an edge that all of a sudden you had to face some uncertainty, but some people crumble under that uncertainty because they seek it.
Yeah.
Others will build some resilience, and that's another way of expanding your capacity by, putting yourself in environments. But again, like sometimes pressure makes diamonds, but too much pressure and, people can crumble. So yeah, I mean, what do you think? Like, because I just hear so many businesses right now. I mean, we're all feeling it, pressure, coming from every angle. And I hear leaders saying, well, pressure's on, time to perform. I'm like, well, it's
actually not helpful.
That's a great statement, but it's certainly not helping the individual.
Because then people just contract. It's like, well, it's the same thing year round. Basically, we've just got to be on our game, looking after our people, looking after our clients. And I hear this too with some of the women in the, say for property sales, for example, it's like, oh my gosh, spring's coming and spring's huge. I'm like, well, you've got a couple of slow months a year and the rest of the year should be pretty consistent, and maybe it's slightly bigger, but you can actually control your busy as well. So I think it's sometimes the language is like preparing for this crazy thing to happen, but like, is it going to, or are we amplifying it in our minds? And I think that's a really unhelpful thing for managers and leaders to be saying, that the pressure is on.
Yeah, and I feel like that is because they can sometimes be at their capacity edge, right? Like 'cause 9 times out of 10, that's getting poured downwards from above.
But that's the thing, I think, where managers and leaders sometimes haven't been given the tools in how to communicate to their team. They've just been on the floor or in sales or a part of the business and, pushed up through tenure or whatever it might have been.
It's tough,
But people have never been really given these tools. And then like the world's changed,
to be able to...
the pressure's changed, like AI, the way people buy and shop, and like the whole world has changed around them, but who's changing the people in the business?
Yeah, and again, that's the same for business owners, right? As they start to develop, and now they've got people reporting, and it's that pressure to perform. So ultimately, I mean, and I know that I went through that exact development. All of a sudden, I was taking care of me, and once you sort of nail that part of it, I think that's where it starts. You've got to be able to take care of you, which is really, if I start to think about why did I start thinking about emotional regulation and stress management and all the rest of it, it was because I started to get better at doing it for myself, and then we think that we've got it covered, and all of a sudden you get into a leadership position where now you've got to hold the space for 8 people, 16 people, 40 people, and then you quickly realize that you realize what was your shortcomings, and I mean that owner management role is tough, because if you haven't got the bandwidth to weather the storm from above, you will no doubt inflict that negativity on your team. So I would probably say the first place to start is, I guess, what sort of, there is that stimulus that pause between stimulus and response. How do you want to come across? Having a vision of what sort of leader you want to be. Really reflect on the negative experiences that you've had. Wonder if is that the sort of person that you want to be. And then awareness gives you choices, and definitely.
Yeah, it's something I love supporting women with. It's actually something that's in my human design chart, is seeing people's potential and like wanting to to take them through that. So yeah, I love supporting women with that, to just get into those nitty gritty and ask the right questions and get them to see themselves differently. Because as I said, when we started this, the way that we see ourselves is it flows into how we show up everywhere, and the boundaries that we set in our life, and how we love and treat ourselves. So I think it's something that we really wanted to speak about, because it's something that we see often. It's things that we have been through personally, and everyone goes through that. We go through our highs and lows and different troughs, and it's harder to get out of them. But I think finding the right tools and support and people, whether it's for yourself or for your team or whoever it might be, that can I guess shine a light on those things and give and help to have a little bit more hope and positivity, because the world can be tough, but it can also be a lot easier depending on the tools that we have and how we handle situations day to day.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. And that's, for me is why I'll always lean into that curiosity. I've got coaches in, numerous areas of my life that I want to be held accountable, for, not to. And I just, I know how helpful it is. So for me personally, going back to some of the tools that work for me, and certainly being able to, like you, share those tools with those who are curious and want to do it another way. Ultimately, self-trust, self-confidence, self-respect, they all tie the thread, really for self-leadership. And I think that, the way it is one way, and but it's not the only way.
No, so, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's all that I wanted to share.
Yeah, I think that's a good...
Today, I know we went in many directions, but I think it all does kind of tie back to our identity and how we feel about ourselves. It flows into, as I said, all areas of life, business, career, and relationships. So hopefully there was some takeaways there.
Yeah.
But I think start with the journal, start with the visualization, start with notes in your phone. Just start really, really small if this is something that you haven't done as yet, and you can build on that to, kinesiology or different healing modalities or retreats or mentoring or wherever that wants to go. But I think just start small and...
start small. Narrow your focus. In a world of overwhelm, control the controllables. Don't seek certainty. Trust yourself that you have the ability to adapt, and just what is one small micro thing that I can do for myself to better myself in that particular area, and do what you say you will do. And that is how you will start to build that self-trust through evidence.
Absolutely. And it's a journey you're going to go on for the rest of your life. I think we're always growing and evolving, or we should be, because that's part of our soul's journey, evolution.
And that is how you build it to last, everybody. I don't think we've tied it back to the principle, which is, strong foundations, build it to last.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for being here. And next episode will be a solo episode. Are
you one or me?
Mine. Yours came out last week.
That's right. Yeah. Too eager.
Yes.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you.